What's up? What's up? What's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
I can't complain, man. I can't call it. Hey, current, we starting off late, but it don't matter to
It don't matter. Look, it don't matter when it's your own show. You see what I'm saying?
We
You,
got all rights and privileges.
we got all rights and privileges.
We hold our own master,
Yeah, you're right. Which is important.
which
That's a
is
lesson.
important.
That's a lesson right there. Have your own masters. Like you know that Rachel in
Yeah,
and Ray.
yeah,
when
yeah,
when Jamie Foxx is like, yeah, and they said I can get ownership of my masters.
yeah,
Can you
yeah.
match it? Ray had the right idea.
Hey, speaking of Jamie Foxx, that was he did Ray Charles justice, man. I ended up thinking Jamie Foxx was Ray
No, you
Charles.
thought he was. You thought he was. If you weren't born, look, if you was born after 2000, you would have
Yeah,
said Jamie Foxx, Ray Charles.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
What's
Um,
another what's another movie? Hold on, I'm about to just hold. You
Oh,
already about to
I
tell
did.
me.
I already look. That ain't shit. Look, I was gonna say Denzel. I was like the only other person I know like that Denzel Malcolm X thing. You would
Oh,
have thought
Corinthian. I grew
you
up
would have.
thinking that
That
Denzel
was
was Malcolm X.
that's who he was. You know, at the end, when they like, I am Malcolm X and stuff,
Yeah,
and then look,
yeah.
I was saying it too. I was like,
Corinthian. Corinthian. I'll tell but Corinthian, I'm gonna tell you this right now. All the people that have played Martin Luther King, they didn't do a good. They did them a disservice. The only one that I can say was good was the guy that was in the Butler. He was the son in the Butler. He also played in Selma. He played in
okay,
Selma. Uh, if somebody can tell me, he's from London, I believe. If you
okay,
can tell me
okay.
his name, he's the only one that I would say that looked similar to Martin Luther King, but everybody else, I'm talking about, they had James Earl Jones playing them. They had so many different people playing Martin Luther King that should have not have played.
I have not seen like I haven't seen Selma or any of those films, but I know who you're talking about. He
Yeah,
did favor him. He did have
yeah,
a good likeness to him,
yeah.
and it's about getting his cadence, his speech cadence
Right,
down, and
right.
all that kind of stuff. Um,
Absolutely right.
yeah, but
There have been so many movies where the likeness of the character has been good, but then some cinema has been off. Corinthian, you got the birds chirping behind you. It looks like you outside today.
man, I'm outside. I'm outside in the sunroom, enjoying this beautiful scenery.
There we go. There we
Yeah, man, I
go.
can't complain.
How has you're settling down? The work week is almost over. How has everything been? How's everything been since you graduated?
Wow, man, it feels so good. I almost don't know what to do with myself with the extra time. I got like I woke up this past Saturday and didn't have a paper due, and it was a strange feeling. So it feels good to be done. And it I'm about to be starting a new chapter. So today was my actual last day with the university. I
Oh
got
wow.
tomorrow. I got tomorrow off and 4 day weekend. Um, and I'll start my new position with Sedgwick County in the county manager's office on Tuesday, June 1st. So I'm
Wow,
excited
man.
about that.
Wow, Matt said congratulations, bro.
Hey man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it,
Corinthian, so
bro. Thank you.
you have graduated. Uh, is that a quit, or are you quit, or have you quit your job and then going on?
Man,
What
man,
is
look,
that?
it's one of those things where it was almost perfect timing. So I found out about the management intern position that I'll be starting June 1. Um, I want to say May the 7th. So as soon as I got back in town off of vacation, we went down to Galveston, Texas. Had a nice little vacation before graduation. As soon as I got back in town, I met with my supervisor and let her know. So I gave her at least 3.5 weeks notice, and told her I wanted to um, stay on until the 28th, to wrap up everything and make sure everything was in good order. So it was a smooth transition. I feel like I'm passing off my responsibilities, in a good way. It's going to be a warm handoff. I think it's important to not burn bridges. So how you come into a situation or how you leave is so important. So I feel like if and when I do decide to come back to university, I'll be welcome back. So I think that's important as well. So I didn't want to give that lady my. I'm sorry, I didn't want to give my supervisor less than 2 weeks notice. Um, so I wanted to give her some advance time because they have to prep, and you know, they had a celebration lunch for me today and all that kind of stuff. So it was nice.
That's awesome, man. And something, if you're just tuning in, we just joined in. We were a little late today, but you're kicking it with the Kellys, and you just heard Corinthians say to not burn bridges, but you also heard him say that lady. It looked like it's something going on, but I'm not even gonna go there. I'm gonna leave that
It was
alone.
that was a slip up. That
That was
was a
a
slip up. That
Freudian
was
slip.
not. No, no, no. We had a good. We had a good. Look,
Griffin, yes, you had a good. Hey, Griffin, don't burn
you ain't
whatever
no.
you do. If you
Yeah, absolutely not. I will not do that. I will not do that
don't
in my
put that in my
glaze.
glaze.
No, I will not do that in my glaze. No, no.
Yeah, don't burn bridges. If you're working somewhere, make sure you give your 2 weeks notice because you never know what can resurface as far as an old job. There have been a lot of situations where I've even gotten a call, to come on back home. I had to decline because I was in a good place at the time. But you never want to burn bridges from an employer. Now, obviously, if you got to go, you got to go. If it's time to go, it's time to go. But you want to do everything to make sure it's a smooth transition because obviously you don't want anybody going through heartache when they take your place or when you leave. You want to make sure that if you do have to train someone before you leave, that you do your due diligence and don't just say, "Hey, it's up to you. I'm just gonna leave it." But I know there have been a lot of cases where if you got to train somebody coming in, you like, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. But you don't want to burn bridges, though.
Yeah, and what I'll say to that, because it is I understand the sentiment, right? But at the same time, you want to treat people the same way you want to be treated. Okay. Somebody coming into an organization, they don't know what happened prior to them stepping into the organization. So it, whatever happened, good, bad, and different, it's not their fault. It's not the new person's fault. So you can't take stuff out on them. So I I learned as I matured and got a little older and have been working in different spaces. I'm never going to badmouth an organization. I'm never going to badmouth a uh, previous supervisor because you never know who's listening. You never know who they're connected to. I'm going to keep everything above board and professional. All right, um, because stuff has a weird way of getting back out of people sometimes. So that's a lesson that I would rather folks not have to find out the hard way. And then I was in a mentoring group recently, and he was telling us about the office parties, right? And he gave this example. He said that you can't advance your position in an office party, but you can definitely torpedo your chances in an
Oh
office
wow,
party. And
wow.
when I thought about that, he was saying it was a guy that was wild and drunk too much at the office party. And 7 years later, he had matured, was doing good, and he could not advance in that position because they remembered the office party. 7 years later, they didn't care about the outcomes, the gains that he was doing currently. They remembered it stood out to him what he did, the office party. It's almost like I'll use the analogy with business. What people write reviews and take the time to write a 30-minute review in a bad experience. You could have 100 great experiences at the place, but the bad one that sticks out, everybody got the energy to now write a whole paragraph, a strawberry letter on what went wrong. So you wanna think about that, and try to store up as much good, have as many good days as you can as you can. So
Corinthian. Wow, that's some knowledge for hey, y'all. I'm telling y'all, those Christmas parties, they'll trip you up. Don't get caught slipping. Be on your best behavior. Corinthian, listen. Hey, we were talking on the phone earlier, and we were talking about a couple of things. I was listening on YouTube, and I was listening to Dr. Umar Johnson, and I called you, and we started talking about a couple of things that he says, and I like Dr. Umar. I think he is a very good communicator, and I believe that he does have the Black interest at heart. And I'm hoping that whatever he sets out to do, if it's for good, I hope it comes to pass for him. I know he's trying to build a school. It hasn't been built yet. So Dr. Umar, wherever those funds are going, make sure that they are going to the school. And I'm hoping that people are willing to donate and in that regard to help with that. But he was talking today, and this was an old clip, but he was on Charlemagne the God's radio station, and they were talking about just a lot of things. And he talked about his new book, but he talked about some things as far as mental health, and he had a book to help parents, if they get a diagnosis of their child has an IEP or something's going on, behavior issues, how to really look at the verbiage in that IEP and everything, so you can be more abreast to what's going on. He also talked about the pandemic and how Black families got to see what it was like teaching their own child, and some of those cases, we could go back and say, hey, I think you diagnosed my child with this, but I've been teaching them, or I've been with them while they've been in this virtual experience, and I can say that I think we need to look some things over. So he had a great great platform in that. But me and you got to talk, and I just asked, what is going on with the Black male? What's going on with us? And we talked about a couple of things, Corinthian. I think that we want to highlight some things. And Akia, if you're still listening, I sent you the link for us. If you can put that link in the chat, I'm gonna give some other people to the opportunity to log on with us, Corinthian, as we kind of talk about this. But let's talk about the Black male today. There are a lot of statistics out there, and we have to understand that African Americans, we are really the true minority. I think Hispanics are the leading minority in our country now. I think at 18%, and as African Americans, we are about 13% of the population, over 300 some odd million here in the USA. And I think we make about 40 some odd percent, 45, 46% of the population. So we are truly a minority. But we have the most Blacks in jail, I think, at a ratio of 5-to-1 with our white counterparts. So let's talk about this. What's going on with the Black male?
all right, I'm gonna approach this from a education standpoint. All right. One of our biggest issues is that, in my opinion, we have allowed others and given them the responsibility to teach us about us. That is the worst thing that you can ever do. How can you, why would your quote unquote oppressor teach you and equip you with knowledge to liberate yourself? Why would I train my enemy, quote unquote enemy, to defeat me? Think about in war theory. Have you ever seen opposing teams train each other on how to beat them? You've never seen a basketball team train with another team to the level to beat you in the game, right? So when I bring this back to education, the responsibility to educate people that look like me, you, generationally, from from cradle to the grave should be like FUBU, for us by us. All right.
Wow.
And when you don't, you see the negative impacts or the ramifications of not doing so. So I'll give you this example. If I see a young black male that has a lot of energy, but people follow him, all right, my goal is to give him the discipline to say that you can be a leader and
Right.
you can lead people one or two ways. You can lead them to positive things or you can lead them to negative things. They
Right.
already have the confidence to do it. People are following them. So I want to challenge him to do things the right way. I want to challenge him to not make excuses early and talk about why I can't do this because I know that he can. And I'm expecting him to do it because he's more than capable of doing it. Flip side to a person that does not share our lived experience, they might say, it's okay for you not to, it's okay. I'll give you a pass because you came from a rough childhood. You didn't, you came from a single parent household and stuff like that. Like other people can give you a pass on that. My role is that that just adds to your story, that adds to your testimony, that gives you some skills, some abilities that other people don't have because you've had to adapt. All right. So all those are benefits. I'm not looking at it as a deficit or a negative. I'm looking at you had all those things, those obstacles that you had to overcome. That makes you stronger. I'm still expecting you to shine, and perform at the highest level in any space that you in. My goal is to equip people with the knowledge that you can compete in any arena, in sports, in athletics, in academics, in whatever field that you say of endeavor. My goal is to equip young people. I'm talking about from the cradle to knowing that as soon as you walk in that space, you just as good as anybody else. And when you're pumping people with that confidence, and I expect you to do it, and I ain't giving you no pass, I'm not letting you cut no corners and stuff like that, they can and will excel. That is our history. That's our legacy. We've been dealt bad hands historically since we got off the boat, and still people have excelled. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Okay,
what?
Corinthian. All
Yeah.
right. All right. So let's take it to the first part and not the latter part of what you were saying. It seemed like more so you were talking about accountability. So accountability measures. Who holds us accountable? Who holds black males accountable? for what they do. Why are there so many single mothers within the Black community? Why are there so many, boys and girls being raised by mom and dad is really nowhere to be found, or so they say? Why is the stigma of the Black male, a hoodlum, thug, not college educated? Why is that stigma that more Black females go to college than Black males? Why is that stigma so? Who holds us accountable for, taking care of our children? Because and we talked about this before, and anybody that's listening right now is, if you can't be my friend if you don't take care of your responsibilities. If you have a child and you don't see that child, you don't talk about that child to me. If I don't see you interacting with your children, we can't be friends, because that's not something that I'm holding my friends accountable for taking care of their children. I want to be surrounded by people, that are doing right by their families, no matter if they're co-parenting or not. So who's holding us
Yeah,
accountable? And thank you, Mr. Harrison. He said, breakdown of family values. And Quincy, you can go into that a little more if you want.
absolutely. To that point, Mr. Harrison, I agree. Um, to that point. So now there's a breakdown, but I would submit who should be holding us accountable. We have to hold each other accountable. No one else will do it for us. It is we are there's no waiting for Superman, okay? In this. It's no one that's gonna swoop in and fix all the problems. We are the solutions to problems in our community. Period. Full stop. So in terms of holding accountable, males gotta hold other males accountable. Period. Full stop. I can't be associated with somebody that does not take care of his responsibilities. I can't respect that. And I have seen the ramifications of what happens when, even if one link isn't holding their weight, okay, it's going to create a ripple effect. And unfortunately, we've had generations of certain ripple effects. We can say a whole lot of different things. We can say, yes, there's systemic racism. Yes, there's institutional racism. All that kind of stuff. You can say that. And yes, I agree that stuff happened. Okay. But what are we going to do? It's stuff that, in spite of all that kind of stuff, it's stuff that you still have to do day in, day out, 24/7, 365. You might not get a pat on the back for doing it. You might not get no applause, which happens, but you still got to do it. I don't care if nobody tells you, "Oh man, you a superhero for doing that." You got to handle your man business. Period. Especially when you got kids. And I would
Oh,
say
yeah.
it extends to me. I don't have any kids. I'm not married. I still got a responsibility to mentor. I still I could sit back and say I ain't got no kids. It ain't my problem. No, it is, because there's such a deficit already. I gotta fill in some gaps. And once you're doing that, we should be teaching the next generation. You have an obligation and
Oh, I love
responsibility
that.
as well. It ain't no, you can't just get stuff poured into you and don't pour it back out. So
Right.
you had 6 mentors growing up. You got a mentor at least once.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You had somebody put you onto this job. You got to put on at least one person. It Because that is, by doing so, that is how we have survived. We have had every obstacle, curveball thrown at us, but we have survived somehow. And the reason that we have survived as long as we have is because we were thinking as a collective. The American
Okay.
way is to think as an individual.
Yeah.
That is not the way that we should think and operate. It ain't about Corinthian doing well. It ain't about Arthur doing well. Is my community doing well? Is my
Right.
or what I can control is the people to the left or right of me doing okay? What good is it if I'm doing well and everybody else around me struggling? It's something wrong
Corinthian.
with that.
Corinthian. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Harrison. That's why we mentor, and it's people like you and the Kappas and fraternities like yourself, and mentorship programs like yourself, that make our communities great. And thank you so much for allowing me and Corinthian to come speak with your Kappa leaguers and to your Avid classes. We had a great time, and that's why we do what we do, because everything that Corinthian is saying is so true. We were talking about who holds the black male accountable. Obviously it seems like that the black female, they are, they're going to college, they're doing their, they're getting great jobs. They are becoming, strong pillars, or well, they have been strong pillars in our community. But it just seems like that focal point is on them at the moment, because it seems like a lot of them, and especially the black females, I'm hearing, that black guys are playing around. In a lot of cases, they still have a young mindset. They haven't grown up. They haven't done what you said, where it doesn't matter whatever, you got to get up and go to work. If you don't get up and go to work, and I'm saying this, not to be harsh or anything, but I don't consider you a man, because, from what I've learned, if you don't work, you don't eat.
No,
You have to work by
Arthur,
the sweat of your brow. So go
Arthur,
ahead, Craig.
Arthur. That's biblical.
Yeah, yeah,
Arthur, it says in I believe Genesis, it said that women had to bear children and men had to work by the sweat of their brow for stuff to come out the ground. Or in other words, in order to live, because you need something to come up out the ground to live and sustain yourself, it's sweat equity that got to go in there. So it is no easy way around that. So I'll say one of the issues that I'm seeing. Okay, we're almost pitting in our race the black male against the black female.
yeah, yeah.
All that gotta stop because
Right.
we need each other the most.
Oh,
All right,
wow.
that unit of black male, black female, the support, the protection, all that is needed because we're we're the minority. You said it's around 13% of us. Okay. We're still the first fired, the last hired. If the national unemployment rate is at 11%, in the black community, it's at 20%, 30%. Go to some places in major cities and stuff like that, it's even higher. So now if we're fighting against each other, how can you sustain a community now on just one income? Or you arguing with each other where the cost of living
Wow.
is increasing year after year. The cost of rent is increasing year after year. Houses increasing year after year. Goods and commodities are increasing year after year. And pay is remaining stagnant. They still trying to figure out if they want to pay $15 an hour to stuff. And at this point, that's the bare minimum to get rent somewhere. So all right, I said that to say we have enough problems trying to live and survive and thrive just by yourself. So if you're not working together, if you're not pooling resources together, if you're not working together, um, it makes it that much harder. And then if you're infighting amongst your own community, think about once you get outside your community.
Yeah, yeah. we can't be wrestling amongst ourselves and then think that we'll have enough energy to go face the world.
Arthur,
Wow.
we see it day in and day out. It'll the world chew you up and spit you out.
Switch up.
But see, but Arthur, what I want us to consider, look at how every other race does it.
Corinthian, look at what Latanya said. When you look at other races that come to this country, they work and live together to help each other. Then once they pool enough, they bring other families over here.
Arthur, listen, Arthur. I'm in the Midwest in Wichita, Kansas. The Latino community, what was subscribed, they do that, and it's beautiful. I love what they doing. I can't be mad at it. Somebody comes on here, they have a skill. Okay, that's first. They have a skill. They're handy. They can do a lot of things. Then I saw Daryl got somebody to do his roof. He came to do the roof and he had his son with him. His son was 11, 12, no more than 13. So now his son is learning the skill. I noticed they had a truck. So now you can haul stuff. The truck is a tool. It ain't just, I ain't just got a car just to ride in it. I got a tool. So now I can take stuff. People paying me cash money to do that. The son is in there watching everything the dad does. Put up the cabinet, fix the door, all that type of stuff, right? And I'm like, if the son watches dad and he's 11, 12, up to 18, now he'll be able to do that stuff for himself. So he got skills and he don't got to go to college to get it. He's got the skill by doing it. I've seen that in lawn care, all that type of stuff. So they put the family on, and then they getting cousins, other relatives. They tell them to come up here. We got a job in here. So I'm thinking about day laborers, construction, and it's jobs that some people don't want to do because of the element. But I'm like, they're walking away with the skills on how to do HVAC. Then
Oh, correct.
then they start their own HVAC thing
Yeah.
with now their relatives. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So they
Yeah.
giving you the model. That the Hispanic community does that. The Asian community does that out here. I'm talking about if I go into an Asian restaurant, I see everybody in there Asian.
Yeah.
They patronize their own businesses. They don't really buy, sell, and trade outside of their community. All the restaurants, all the Asian restaurants close on Tuesdays. Every single one of them.
Corinthian. All right, so we got a question in the chat. And guys, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the black male and also the black community. You know what's going on with us. We're trying to have a real discussion about this. Who holds black males accountable for not holding up to their end of the bargain, not taking their care of their responsibilities. What is the downfall in our community? What are the inspiring things that are going on in our community? We can talk about that as well. Kia does have a question. She said, are we comparing? Don't we say comparison is the thief of all joy? I'm gonna let you answer that, Corinthian. But I just want to say that my wife did put in the chat a link for us. If you are a black male and you want to come in and talk to us, if you're anybody, you can come in and talk to us. You can join us with this discussion. Corinthian has a little bit more time. We're going to go for about an hour and 20, maybe an hour and 30 today. But we're talking about all things black. So if you want to come in and join us, you can click on that StreamYard link and you can come kick it with us. Corinthian, what are we comparing?
So let me get back to Kia's question. All right. I don't see that as comparison. I see that as what is the blueprint? Okay. So it's a blueprint that's being laid out. And now I have a choice to see that blueprint and is it yielding success? I would tell you that blueprint is yielding success in the Jewish community, in the Amish community, In any major city, you can go see Chinatown, you can see Greek Town. And why do you think that is? It's because that group has come together and they have pooled their resources um, together for the benefit of people that look like them. So it extends outside of just their family. Now it's extending to look. Think about a flag, for example. If you go to certain parts of Texas, you will see the Mexican flag with pride. Arthur, where we from? You can know somebody that's Puerto Rican because they're gonna have their flag, right?
Yeah.
It don't matter what part of Puerto Rico they was from. They all under the same flag, right? And we have to be thinking like that. What's our flag? And we have to get on code. Code means I'll say some simple things. If you see another black person, you should be speaking.
Yeah.
You should be. You should feel comfortable seeing another person that look like you. I don't care if they're from Virginia, Newport News, Hampton, wherever. The code is we speak. And that is so important because we've almost been taught, and I know growing up, I don't even know who taught us this, but we thought it a way where I don't know that person. I ain't saying that. We used to grit on each other.
Yeah.
And now looking at it now, that was we were thinking backwards.
Ooh, Corinthian. All right, Corinthian. Oh, you bring it. You bringing out a lot of comments. Let me address the comments, and then we'll go further with this discussion. Kia said the blueprint is in the word, not another culture. They have struggles too. That is true. That is
Absolutely.
true. Matthew did agree with you. Thank you for your comment, Matthew. Comparison, yes. However, admiration and appreciation. They have been successful.
Yes.
Um, Mike has a long comment here. There aren't enough opportunities created for kids to show them what they can aspire to be and ultimately become. We talk about other races, but the fact is that even though they live together in large groups, there are still opportunities created for them to get a leg up because of businesses that hire them can pay them less, pocket more money. We have the ability now more than any other time in history to create platforms and opportunities for these to see and rub elbows with positive influence. Okay.
Okay. So one thing I wanna say with opportunity creation. Okay. If we waiting for a government official, a policy, anything to create opportunities for people for us or people that look like us, we're gonna be waiting for a real long time. Okay. We are the opportunity creators. It's five people in the neighborhood. Hey, we need to fix this park up. I want my kids to have a safe place to play. We make it. Period. You can't wait for somebody else to do it. You have to do. We have to be in that mindset because that's the mindset that built Black Wall Street. That they didn't wait for someone to
Right.
do it. They pulled their resources together. So that means they weren't gritting on each other. They trusted each other.
Corinthian, let's talk
They,
about you just led into Black Wall Street, but let's just talk about this. Hotlanta is not the new Black Wall Street. Let's talk about this because I think we're getting it confused. People that move out to Charlotte, North Carolina, or to
yeah,
Atlanta, where there's a big congregation of blacks.
yeah,
They're saying that this is a black community,
yeah,
but we have to talk more about that because are we really owning something?
yeah.
And I think you have a take on that. If we can kind of go into that
So
because when you started talking about Black Wall Street, it
yeah,
kind of sparked something in my
yep,
mind there.
yep. Okay, Arthur, Atlanta, in my opinion, after doing some study and research, has a high black population, but it's underperforming. And I'll say it's underperforming because what are the ownership rates? And when I say ownership, I'm not talking about You owning a nice car and a nice McMansion, which means you're gonna be saddled with debt. It's not ownership. Okay. When I say ownership, I'm talking about who owned the Braves, who owned the high-end real estate down in Atlanta,
Who owns Coca-Cola?
who owned Coca-Cola. All right. Who owns that stuff? And I would submit to you, they probably don't look like us. It's a lot of foreign investment that own a lot of them hotels and that prime real estate in Atlanta. And if there was true ownership by us, the Auburn district would still be there. It would still be thriving. You see what I'm saying? And the point I'm trying to make is there's enough, there's a critical mass of black people enough where why ain't Lenox Mall all black owned? We the ones spending money there.
Yeah.
You see what
CNN,
I'm saying? So Ted Turner owns stuff.
Yeah.
Those people own stuff, right?
Yeah.
An ownership mindset has to be taught, right? Early. Because if you own stuff, right, then you can say, I want to hire more people that look like me. I'm the owner. I want to hire more black. The unemployment rate for people that look like us is high. I'm going to hire more people. I've created that opportunity because I own it. A co-op of land and real estate. Arthur, I was listening to a podcast and they say the real estate stuff was going so dirt cheap, people was buying up the stuff. Why a whole community didn't say, look, we want this whole block. And now if we own the whole block, we can control the rent prices to make sure they ain't so absorbent that can't nobody live there. We want to have adequate housing for people that look like us. We want to be the developers. You see what I'm saying? That's ownership. All right. When you don't have ownership, you don't get no say in it. It becomes, can you afford to live here or not?
Right.
And then when you ain't at the table, when you don't have an ownership stake, you can't say, hey, what about the people that are trying to progress and let's make it a reasonable price point, or let's have some mixed use development here. If you ain't at the table, they saying, look, the price starting at $400,000. Anybody else that can't afford it, move. That's how them tables work. So the point I'm trying to make is if there is strength, our true strength is if we unify.
Unify.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about, okay, we talked about accountability and we talked about unifying. Let me read these two comments and then I do want to interject something. But we had Matthew, thank you again. What do you think will be the catalyst to change in our community on a larger scale, or do we start small? All right, that's something to think about. And then Kia said everyone is not meant to be an owner, and that's okay. The key is that we each teach and leave a mark wherever we go. We have to be the voice for Black people on the job, in our community, in our neighborhood, in our schools, etc. Thank you so much for both of your comments, and we'll get to your question, Matthew. But Quentin, while you were just talking, I just immediately thought about, the ones that have made it, the ones, when we grew up,
made
it. We wanted to get to be in the suburbs, right? We wanted to move to the other side of town. That was our goal, to have that white picket fence, to have the house, the single family home that's not joined with another house. That was our goal. To have a dog. We wanted to have a dog. Now we still kept our dog out in the backyard, but that's what we wanted. So let's talk about this black flight. Black flight. You make it, but then you forget where you come from. And we're talking about mentorship, mentors and mentorship. Once people make it, do they really, is it black flight? They don't want to be associated with that part, of the community anymore. Is that a strong proponent on why we aren't unified? Because I want to say this. You talked about Hispanic, you talked about Asian, you talked about Jews, you talked about Amish, and you said they are on the same page. My question to you is, and to everybody is, are Black people really on the same page about what they want out of life? Are we really on the same page about rearing a family? Are we really on the same page about jobs? Are we really on the same page about wealth? What are we on the same page about? Talk to me. I would love to have somebody chime in, and Corinthian, definitely you can go.
Yeah. In order to get on the same page, you have to be taught. It's almost indoctrination. Okay, indoctrination is not a bad thing. You have to be taught to be community minded. If you don't, capitalism teaches you some tenets of capitalism is to be a rugged individualist. Get as much as you can for as long as you can for you. That does not benefit our community. Arthur, if you got a McMansion and you move out of Timberwoods and never come back, how can the next generation benefit from, well, what was the pathway? What did you do? Who did you talk to? When did you start investing?
Oh,
All
I
that
like
stuff
that.
has to get all that knowledge has to be transferred.
Right.
So you can't you can't say I want to get so far away from my past. I don't never got to go back there. You can't be like Uncle Phil and go out to Bel Air and don't come back to Philly. All right, and think that that stuff don't concern because it does. All right, we have a responsibility to our family, but we also have a responsibility to our community. And when I say our community, what's within 6 feet of you? What's in your control? Your block is within your control. We have to start there. So what I'm saying is, Arthur, it is hard to get 5 people to agree, 5 grown adults to agree on one thing. So what I'm saying is, now I'm not calling for a mass movement that everybody's going to be on board and say, let's follow what this guy said, because it ain't going to happen. But what I'm saying is, we have to start grassroots wise right in our community, because you see all these people every day. You don't see. I'm in Wichita, so what's going on your block, is different from what's going on my block. But on your block, you can organize those people around you and say, "This is what we want to do." All right. I would say we have to be on code, and that code can take many forms. But with that code, we have to have an agenda.
Ooh.
The agenda might be as simple as, there is no fighting amongst Black people under any circumstance. Like, I'm talking about physical violence among Black boys or Black girls is not tolerated, not never.
There we go. Okay, I love that. So Matthew had asked, what do you think the catalyst to change in our community on a larger scale, or do we start small? What you just said was get on code, and you there. If we start with one thing, there can be no fighting amongst ourselves.
For what? See, Arthur, this is the question I got. All right. We fighting amongst ourselves with people that don't own nothing, right? But ready to fight tooth and nail, almost kill each other, don't own the block, fighting over turf that you don't own. And then once you stop the fight, you haven't even seen the real enemy, the invisible enemies around you. You see what I'm saying? So we don't even have time, Arthur. We need everybody on the same team because we're already a minority. So I'm talking about petty beefs, petty. You from where we from? You from Aqueduct? I'm from Timberwoods, and we used to beef over that kind of silly stuff.
Yeah,
Arthur,
yeah.
we have bigger fish to fry, so to speak. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're fighting for survival. We're fighting for the opportunity to be able to get a job. We're fighting for the opportunity to there. It's people being hired that speak English as a second language before young black boys. How,
Wow.
in America, and
Yeah.
that's a statistic. And so if I can't get a job, that means I can't support myself. Then you see the byproduct. Like what I'm saying is solutions to a lot of problems. If you have gainful employment, I don't have a whole lot of time if I'm gainfully employed to argue back and forth with you about something because I got to go to work. I got to support myself. I don't got a lot of time to 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 get caught up or I'm gonna be tired because I've spent the workday working. You see what I'm saying? So gainful employment saves a lot of people from a lot of things, right? And we're seeing what happens when you have a large number of people, 18 to 25, 26, that are unemployed. What else are you going to do? How else are you filling your time? You see what I'm saying? So we don't have time to tussle and wrestle amongst ourselves and argue amongst ourselves. What you would be saying is, what's the code that we want to be on? What's the initiative that in my community we want to tackle together?
I love it. All right. So you had one proponent, one constitution, one commandment in the black community. No fighting amongst yourselves. We have a common enemy, and it's not us.
It's not. Look. It definitely can't be the neighbor that live on the same block as
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
How?
yeah, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I love that. All right, Corinthian, let's talk about education for the black community, especially black males. Do we really value education? Is education important to us? Or are we pretty much going against the grain? We're saying that the education that's taught in schools is not to better us as a community, but does it help? If you are educated in knowing the system and how the constructs of what we learned in school is done, will that make you a better citizen and be able to help your community? Or are we saying we need to be learning something totally different? We don't need the education school. I can slack and do it how I want to in this current educational climate and be successful. What do we how do we value education, or how do black males need to value education moving forward?
All right. Well, Arthur, I would say we see a lot of problems because a lot of our young males, and I'll say myself included, didn't see the relevance of what how I was learning about old guys that really didn't like me helping me in the future. All right. So the relevance, the why is important. We got to tell the why. Okay. I would also submit to you, I don't want everybody in the black community going to college. And I say that because for some of the skills that we need in our community, you don't need a 4 year degree to do that. You might need a certificate. You might need just time, like I gave the example earlier, watching somebody else do it, getting hooked up with somebody, being an apprentice, because we have to be taking inventory on what do we need in our community? What do we need to sustain a community? All right. So, do I need everybody with a bachelor's degree to do that? Do I need everybody with a master's degree to do that? Do I need everybody with a PhD to do that? You see what I'm saying? So, it's we should be taking inventory on what's needed. I think that in terms of education, we also need to be telling our boys it's important for you to be a lifelong learner. Anybody that's successful never stops learning. They're always learning new skills. They're always willing to get new information. They're always looking for good, credible information. It's one thing to get information, it's another thing for it to be credible. All right. So you have to be able to filter, well, what's good information and what's not. That takes some knowledge now, and some practice in doing that. It takes some research, it takes some diligence. Also with education, and outside of education, I want our community from young to old to be putting their best foot forward in whatever endeavor they're doing. If it's in the classroom, I want your very best in the classroom. If it's on the field, I want your very best. If it's singing a song, I want your very best. I want us to have an excellence mindset because our history, our legacy is excellence. Period. I'm talking excellence against all odds.
Right.
Arthur, I've read accounts where before or just after integration, West Point, one of the best schools in the country, there were people that were at West Point and no one talked to them for a year. General, I want to say Benjamin O. Davis Sr., he was a West Point graduate, United States Army general. He was at West Point for a whole year and none of his classmates talked to him. And he
Wow.
still endured.
Mr. Harrison, can
saying?
you put your friend, I believe he just became the you just sent us some verbiage about I believe he's a Capel brother. He just became the head of West Point, I believe. If that's if correct me if I'm wrong, if you can send that verbiage as well. And then Mr. Harrison also had 6 policies to address social problems affecting Black boys and men. Ashley Mashia Masila, I can't pronounce.
Let's just say Ashley M. Let's just say Ashley M.
Tuesday, December 15, 2020.
Yeah.
Check it out.
All right.
Cedric Wins. That's who it. Check them out. Everybody that's listening to us today, you can type in Google Cedric Wins, and you'll see that he's doing big things in the Senior Military Academy. Corinthian, you were saying that we are proponents of excellence. We have gone and we have seen our Black forefathers and in the what they had to endure, and they still excelled at the highest level.
See, Arthur, that's why learning and knowing about your history is so important, because you take pride from things like that. You see what I'm saying? You mean to tell me he had to jump through all these hurdles and he still did this? You see, imagine if you're learning that early, there's a certain pride that you have now. Okay. Where you can't just say, like, the pride that you have to have, no one should be able to badmouth folks like Harriet Tubman around you.
Right.
When you know history.
Right.
Because what she did, she's a real superhero, what she did.
Yeah. I love that.
And she did it not just for her, because she could have escaped to the north and been fine. She felt obligated to come back and get more people walking. Yeah. This is before, like, Arthur, walking 30 miles is a long time. I'm talking about now times 5, 6, 7. You see what I'm saying? So when you put in perspective, if I know that when I'm 3 and 4, then we're talking, well, what can I do?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Then you have I can do that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or my legacy, my lineage is just as good. Everybody else know that. Right. Every other race reveres those heroes. They teach them, they got them in song. You're gonna see a painting about them people. They have respect for their heritage, their history. And we have to have that same kind of. But if you asking somebody else that don't look like you to teach you about your heroes, you've already messed up there. That's not their job. The Native Americans don't ask somebody to come in and tell them about their their chieftains, their legends, their heroes. No, they keep that, they preserve that, and they teach everybody else about that. You see what I'm saying? We have to be doing that as well and
Prince,
realize why that is so important.
I love how you put that. You when you talked about that there are songs and how other groups revere their historical leaders. We have to do the same. We can't tear that down and tear them down. There are a lot of people that have gone before us that have paved the way and did some remarkable things, no matter what their religious affiliation was, no matter what they were doing. They did some remarkable things to help our culture. And the younger generation, we have to get on code, as Corinthian was saying. Corinthians. So we talked about first, there can be no fighting amongst ourselves. So we were going to write out the 10 commandments for blacks and how we live. There should be no fighting amongst ourselves. Education is important. The books, common sense, book smart, everything. But then
Being having a
go
scholar
a
mindset,
scholar mindset. I
a
love how you put
scholar
that.
mindset. All right, that
Scholar mindset. Yeah.
a scholar don't have to be at somebody college.
Right.
You
Right.
you can be at the library and read a lot, and you can be a
Corinthian,
scholar as well.
we share a lot of videos amongst ourselves where we see a lot of black males in jail and the ingenuity that they have within the jail system and how they're surviving and how they're having their own businesses in there. And we often say, just imagine if they were could just do that outside of where they are, and how much better their life can be and how much they can be pouring into the community, but yet they have to do that in jail. So we talked about that. So let's talk about the discipline. We have to, we can't condone certain stuff. Certain stuff, and you used to hear that the lady up the street can correct you too.
Yeah.
They'll call your mom in a heartbeat and say, "Hey, no, I saw your son out here. I talked to him, and now I'm sending him home, and then mom and dad got to him too." So we have to do some more community correction as well, and us parents in this new generation, we gotta let some folks pour into our children. Now I know that there have been a lot of cases and a lot of, you don't want everybody talking to your child. We understand that, but don't let that be the catalyst for everything. We can't use that as the litmus test for correct discipline. If my neighbor sees my child doing something that they know that I didn't teach them, because me and my neighbor should already have a relationship. So they should already know what I'm instilling into my child. So if they see them out there in the public and they're doing something, they got their pants sagging and they out there talking reckless, out there doing anything, stealing, whatever. They should be able to talk to my child and say, "Hey, you won't raise like this. I don't know. This is a disservice to your parents and what they have taught you." So I think discipline and correction needs to come back into the black community.
Arthur, I would I think you so spot on. We are in a time where everyone abhors or runs away from correction. And a mature mind would love correction. And it's so you have to, it's one of them things where you almost got to grow up and mature to get that and appreciate correction or constructive feedback or criticism, because the goal of correction is, I've seen you operating in error and I am correcting you so you can operate in excellence. If you're mature enough to receive correction, and you have to know what sound correction sounds like, looks like, it has to be modeled for you. But now I can fix a problem early and flourish later, right? So imagine if let's use a tangible example of imagine if you uh laying tiles on the floor and you putting it on the floor incorrectly. The downside of doing things in error is you're gonna have to go back and do it again, and you're gonna waste time, energy, effort, money, and it might uh hurt your reputation
Right.
and stuff like
Right.
that. All right.
Right.
You know that saying, if you do something right the first time, you
First
don't got
time.
to do it again.
Yes. Yes.
We have to get back to, all right, what is the right way to do it? Okay. So and that starts early. What I'm saying is, it's a, I would submit it's a right and wrong way to do anything. Okay. We need to be trying to promote what is the right way to do this. What is the right way that is going to bring honor to whatever I'm doing? It's going to reflect well on not only myself, but anyone associated with me if I'm doing it the right way. That
Wow.
means that it's the right way that I got a mentor, for example.
Yeah.
I can't be I, I can't mentor kids and say it's important to do X, Y, and Z and be a good student, and I don't show up on time. I don't keep my word. I, I'm failing out of school because someone's always watching, and the
Yeah.
younger generation are like
Yeah.
sponges.
Yeah.
They already know if you they can tell if you being real about what you say, you being genuine, or you just saying it to say it. So,
Oh
uh,
wow, Corinthian, we got a question. I like how I like where you're going. And for whoever is listening, um, Kevin Samuels, he's a up and coming podcaster, and he I don't want to say that he's a relationship expert, but he's an image consultant, and he has a platform where he talks to women and men about relationships and high value men and everything like that. Now, again, I don't agree with everything that he says, but I do like his premise. And Mike just asked, who decides what's right, Corinthian? You talked about, in doing something right. Um, but who decides what's right?
okay. That's one of them almost philosophical
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
kind of questions, right? So I use common sense. I use my moral compass. I'm a believer, so I'm a person of faith. I think that has some say so and what's right. But I use this example because if you're saying who decides what's right, is it right to throw trash? Is it right to throw a McDonald's wrapper right in the middle of the road after you finish eating?
Yeah, no.
No one's saying that's wrong to do, but does it feel wrong? Does it look wrong? And what are the effects of doing it? So if everyone adopts that, because we're saying, well, that's the right way to do it. Throw the trash right in the middle of the street. Over time, the street, the street is covered with trash. Now rodents and all there's effects of having trash without proper sanitation, and then aesthetically it don't look you know who's to say you shouldn't. I know there's people that just like to be contrary just anyway and say I'm gonna do that anyway and stuff like
Right.
that. But in my opinion, there's a lot of things that I mean, common sense. I don't even sound right.
Right. So
Now,
so so and I can see where this question is going, because you can ask who decides to write in a lot of areas. When it comes to um, one of the, it's not a downfall, but one of the biggest plagues in the Black community is being raised in a single parent household. um, you know, What's right is that it took two to make a child. So that's the right premise. It takes two to tango, right? Where the right thing is there is a mother and a father because you needed sperm in the egg. Now, have we made it so impossible that a child can be reared by just one parent? Yes, of course. I mean, we've had to adapt. But as far as the premise, it's right for a mother and a father to be in a child's life. Now, again, do they have to be married to do that? No. But the thing is, what was right was that they were probably married first and then they had children. That would be the model that we would have to go with. Now, again, I understand that so many different things can happen. There can be a lot of different scenarios to that. But when we talk about what's right was, well, it took two people to make a child. So we have to go with that as the starting point before we can get to all the different scenarios. So when we talk about what's right, in a lot of cases, as far as how we maneuver through the community. What's up? What's up, Nick? How you doing, bro? Praying for you, man. Thanks for tuning in. When we talk about the community and what can get us on code, we have to have a certain way of doing things that can get great outcomes. Now, if we've been doing something a certain way and it's been giving us poor outcomes, that's probably not the right way to do it. And we just have to level up and say, hey, no, that's not working. The model that we are doing now is not working. It is destroying our families. It's the way we've been rearing our boys and rearing our girls. That's not the way. The people that we have as mentors or the ones that we have talking to our children on a grander scale, that's not the right model. We need more people aligned with education. We need more people with that ownership mindset. So we have to recalibrate how we are teaching this generation because in a lot of cases it's not working in the way that it is working for other communities. What do you think about that, Corinthian?
Man, Arthur, I agree 100% with you'll say. I'll say something radical because faith faith is very big in the black community. Okay. I would say we have a lot of churches, a lot of nice edifices, a lot of beautiful spaces, and that's great. Okay. But there's still needs in the community that are not being met. I would say I would want churches, and not everyone has the capacity to do it, but I would want, well, the church members there that have skills and trade training. I want some sessions where they teaching the younger generation to go to that church a skill, a trade. I want it to happen. That's a form of ministry that I want. Okay. I know about the evangelizing and stuff like that. I get it. It's people that can do that. But it's people that have skills up in the church that can lay a whole building down. How is that information getting shared out to the rest of the church? I want the young kids to know that to through church know how to cut grass or know how to fix a roof, because if they have that skills pay bills, skills add value. Okay, so you go into church faithfully and stuff like that. All right, you can benefit the church and the community because you got a
Wow,
whole community that needs some stuff now. Arthur, that used to be the model 100 years ago.
Corinthian. Yeah, yeah.
Arthur, I went to a museum that was a church that was built by the congregants. Arthur, if
Wow.
you told me to come build our church today, I wouldn't know what to start with. But the point I'm trying to make is the church had that level of skill and talent right in the congregation.
Yeah,
I'm saying let's expand that out. I want there's beauticians sitting up in the church. Teach the young girls how to do that stuff. So now
yeah,
they get you see what I'm saying? Because now now because, like I said, if if one part of society got a cough, the black community got pneumonia. And what
Ooh,
I'm
ooh,
and the point I'm trying to make is that we have higher student loan debt than anybody else.
ooh, Corinthian. We got a guest on. Let him on. I think. Let me see what we got here. We got a guest. What's up, Mike?
What's
What's going
going
on,
on,
man?
bro?
Hey, Corinthian. What was the phrase that you just used? You just said, "Who has?" Say it again, like you said it. If who has a cough, we
If
have
if
pneumonia.
if 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 I'll say in terms of this analogy, if white society got a cough, black society got pneumonia.
Wow.
Do y'all
Wow.
understand that
Yeah,
analogy that
yeah.
I'm
I
trying to use?
understand it.
What
I understand it.
whatever's going on in that community, if the unemployment rate is 8% across the country, that means it's 20% in our community at least.
Wow. Mike, hey, thanks for tuning in, man. What you got for us, man? You
I
want to
just,
interject? You had a comment? What you want? What you want?
yeah. He said, "What you want?"
Yeah.
Um, I believe that, like we like to talk about how other races come here and they move into the same house and they work together and they build they build wealth. But the truth of the matter is that particularly like with the Asian community in particular, there are already government subsidies already in place before they even come. So it's not like they're necessarily working from the bottom. They're working somewhere between the bottom and the midway point. Whereas
Yeah,
whereas
yeah,
we usually start from below the bottom at a lot
It,
of times, which is why we have student loans and this and that and the third, because there are really not as many opportunities outright given to us unless we are just undeniable. Like some people have 4.0 GPAs all the way through school, every in college, everything. Some people have extended scale GPAs, you know what I mean? But that's a very small percentage of our community. I feel like we have the opportunity to create opportunities within our own communities, without having to um, seek as much government assistance as we have. I think that in the last couple elections, we've shown that when we put our mind to it, we can push culture. I think that when we talk about some of these other racial groups that come over and they are successful, they're given these opportunities. There are already things in place because they are extensions. I heard somebody say this, and I want to get it right. I'm gonna just paraphrase, but basically, like in particular, like the Asian community, the government sees them as an extension of white people.
they're a
So,
buffer
yeah,
class. They're a buffer
yeah,
right,
class.
yeah.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
of course, I'm going to give them the opportunities that I'm not going to give the black person, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to vote for me anyway. So I'm going to give the opportunity to the Asian community to start businesses and build situations, because I know when it comes time to cast those ballots, y'all going what I'm saying, y'all going to partner with the white community to
Yeah.
put who we want in, or whatever. And so I
Go
think
ahead,
that
Corinthian. Interject it
So
there
Mike,
because he's on to
I
something
wanna
there.
I wanna say I agree with you 100% um to that point. Now, political power, okay, voting. Those communities, by and large, vote as a block, and
mhm,
what I mean by that is what one the whole pretty much the whole community with some outliers is voting one way.
Hmm.
And we have to do the same exact thing.
Hmm.
I would say our voting power has to be independent enough that I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Green Party, Tea Party, whatever. There are certain things that if you want my vote, I demand this to happen. And if it doesn't happen, I will sit out from voting. Okay, so I would submit that the Democratic Party has counted on the black vote, and they have got the black vote by and large in every election. They've gotten it
Hmm.
so much that they don't even they think it's a shoe in the bank. We have to change that. I would
Hmm.
submit that um, the political pressure should be on the Biden administration so heavy right now. If they don't deliver, that we should be saying by the midterms that are coming up, if you haven't done what we've asked you to do, um, we will abstain from voting. Because the point I'm trying to make is voting is quid pro quo.
Right.
You get my vote if I get this. Every other um, every other culture, I would say, votes that way. They're voting to get something. And if they
Right.
don't get it, you're not getting their vote. We vote and we hope that maybe one day you'll pass this legislation. For example, that George Floyd bill that should have been passed.
Right.
And we have the administration, quote unquote, administration that we put in office, and what have they delivered? My thing is, you won't get a vote for me. I won't vote anymore if you're not going to deliver. And what I'm saying is, when I ask you to deliver, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, whatever. I want you to deliver on the agenda that I have set or my community has set. And without that, you will not get one vote. That's the kind of unity that we have to have. That's the pressure.
Mhm.
And if we do that, then every every candidate that's running, especially on the state and national level, will have to court our vote. Because if you don't, if you're not saying that you're going to deliver on this, you won't get any. That's the kind
Mhm.
of unity that we have to have. That's the
Right.
pressure. That would be the swing vote. That would be the vote that has to be courted in every election. That
So
means
so
that you have
Corinthian,
to.
so
Yep. Go
all
ahead.
right, so Mike, let you answer that, and with me asking this question: Are black is the black community on the same page of what we want from candidates, or are we? Because we just talked about the Asian community, the Hispanic community, they seem together on what they want from their candidates. Are we on the same page as far as what we want and expect for the black culture? Because I mean, our it's wide ranging on where we are. So, do you think that we're on the same page?
That's an interesting question. I'm going to answer your question with a question. Um, it's not so much are we on the same page, but is it the things that we're concerned about, are they truly relevant in the grand scheme of things? That's the question. Is what we, let's say for the sake of argument, we are on one. I'd say yes, we all are on one accord about what we want. Is what we want going to push us forward? Is it going to be relevant enough? Because at this point, I think we just, from my personal experience, from we just trying to get respect. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really seen where people are pushing for business agendas and these type of things. I mean, I'm sure they are, but more so you see just the fight for respect. Like you mentioned the George Floyd bill.
Yeah.
Dr. Umar Johnson said that. That's President Biden signed the hate crime bill for the Asian community on his second day in office. But yet here we are, after he's been elected, and he has yet to even address the George Floyd bill.
Yep.
Now, somebody put in the comment section that there are multiple bills on the table that were prior to the George Floyd bill, and that's probably true. But my point is that to look at the disparity between how the two are addressed. I'm sure that there are multiple bills on the table, but look how they're being addressed. So to answer your question, um, if I had to answer your question, yes or no, I would say I think so. I think for the most part, we all want the same things, but just like anybody else in society, we're all at varying degrees. I mean, we have black people who are business owners and successful business owners,
Yeah.
so their priorities
Yeah.
are different. So,
Yeah. So
Okay,
but
Mike,
all
I think
right.
to that point, Mike, to that point, I'm gonna respectfully disagree. We don't
okay.
want respect. That's too small. What we want. We want resources.
Hmm.
I want you to cut the check, reparations. That's what I want. Because if I have resources and am empowered in that way with capital, with ownership of stuff, then you have to respect me. You asking people that have disrespected you for years to disrespect you is too small. What I'm saying, whether you respect me or not, if I have ownership of certain things, you got to respect under a nation of laws. You got to respect this land deed that I got, or it's legal recourses in the system that you set up that you got to honor, or
Well,
I'm
go
I'm gonna
ahead.
bring to bear all the resources that I have on my end to call out. Well, somebody lying. Then if you're not expecting this land right or this deed or this legal bill of sale. So what I'm saying is we're not even asking for the resources to get respect. And that's why I'm saying I would put so much pressure on this Biden administration, the Congressional Black Caucus. What I'm saying is that's what I want you, that's what I elected you to do. Go in there and say, I want reparations last week. And I want you to
Mhm.
say that every day on CNN, MSNBC, any place until they tell you you can't say it no more. Then you'll get my vote. Until then,
Well,
don't tell me
he,
about no other, uh,
he,
uh, whatever symbolic. Like we have we're settling for symbolism. I don't want symbolism. I want the
right.
actual resources. I want
Yeah.
the I want the I want the deeds. I want the capital investment tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and current, I totally agree with what you're saying on its face. In a vacuum, absolutely, you're right. But we have to get everybody in order to get people on the same page. We got to get everybody on the same wavelength mentally. Now, see, you're educated. You come from a great home, a stable home, so your sensibilities are probably light years ahead of the average person. Now, you pose these things to the street guy, the guy down on 25th Street who dropped out in the 8th grade, hustling and has been hustling and everything ever since. You ask that guy, and I'm going to tell you, he's probably going to tell you, just send me some money, and that's all he wants. He don't care about starting no business. He don't start care about investing. He don't care about buying no property. He don't care about generational wealth. He just want bread. So I guess the mindset has to the collective mindset has to evolve, and that comes from you know it starts in the home. You know what I'm saying? If I don't
I
have
agree. I agree.
the proper if I don't have the proper if I've never had the proper example set for me, if I don't have the proper examples, how can I pass it on? You know what I'm saying? You have people who are having kids much younger. You see 14, 15, 16-year-old kids having kids. How can they really pass on anything that's substantial to their children? What what's likely for them to come? You know what I'm saying? After that,
So
so I think it's
so
a collective
Oh, wow.
mindset that has to change.
so
Wow.
so Mike,
Thank you for that, Mike.
this is what I would say to that, and my power is about to, is at like 5% now. All right, I want us to consider. Um, we just need a critical mass, and critical mass to me is 10 to 15%. You don't need all, because you'll never get all people on the same page. I
Hmm.
just need a good, talented, motivated majority, and then they will force everyone else through their actions to move in that
Hmm.
direction. That's what we need. Like, what I'm saying is, if we're waiting for everyone to get on the same page, we'll be waiting until the cows come home. I'm saying the people that know and that can move in that direction, that are putting pressure on the political arm, that are the entrepreneurial, believe in buying, selling, and trading amongst themselves, we should be moving in that direction already.
Hmm.
I don't need anyone to give me a signal to do that. I just need to be doing that in action. And other people will see that. My younger generation will see that, and they'll see by my, not only my words but my deeds of me doing that. And that's the blueprint. And I would say, as we do that and keep doing that, we will be moving in that direction. So eventually the street guy, he'll see it. He's going to see
Hmm.
the benefit. He might not see it today, day one. Maybe 5 years from now he see it. But 5 years movement got to happen. You see what I'm saying? I can't wait to get him on board. We should be moving.
Yeah,
Hey, wow.
it's people living in the now versus people looking down the road. You know what I'm saying? Having the mindset to look down the road. I'm gonna tell you something, Corinne. I was talking to some people from my church yesterday. When I was a kid, when I was very young, I was about 17. I I used to sell crack, right? I didn't need to, but I wanted some money and my friend was doing it, so I started doing it. And the thing that it changed my life when I started selling to my friends' clientele. And Arthur, it was church people, people that I went to church with.
Wow.
And the ill thing about it, Arthur, is that I come, I get a beat because we had beepers back then.
Right.
So you get a beat, you call them, they tell you where to come, and I show up, and it's Arthur.
Right.
You know me, I know you, but because you're so addicted, you're so committed to this thing, you don't care that I might go and tell everybody that Arthur's on crack.
Hmm.
You don't care that you're gonna see me on Sunday. You don't care that we have some type of relationship, like we friends. Like this is something that you're so committed to it that you don't your self respect, your dignity is out the window because you want this particular thing. And that's what stopped me from the first time started seeing people that I knew doing it. That's when I that's when I stopped. It it just did something to me, and to this day, I still see their face. Now, my point in telling you that is that here you have two people theoretically. You have the dealer who's selling to survive, and you have the user who's using to survive, seemingly. But both of them are not thinking for the future. They're thinking for the now. And that's what they've been raised to do. And so that's what my point in telling you that story is that that's what we're contending with now. We have a group of people who are newly enlightened about seeing, investing, and going into the future versus the old rule of thought where you just get money and you pay your bills until you die, or you get money to survive to get what you need to get done until you die. And that's my take on it.
Wow, thank you so much, Mike. Dealer and user. Wow, I thank you for that analogy and that life experience. If you just tuned in, we've been talking about the state of Black Union. I think that's the term. I think they've had the Tavis, or what is it, Tavis Smiley? He does the State of the Black Union. And he had Cornell West and a lot of preachers and community leaders on there. We just did our own mini State of the
Yeah,
Black Union.
they need to have Mike on there. They
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
have Mike on there for today.
Hey, they need to take a walk. Hey, listen, we're gonna finish this conversation further because we still got some more rules and some commandments that we got to instill for the Black community. We talked about no fighting amongst yourself. We talked about education, and we also talked about discipline and correction. But then we talked about the business mindset, entrepreneurship, and what we want from our community leaders and our the political platform. We need to be voting as a block, and that's what Corinthian has been saying, that we all have to get on code as far as what we want to see that can help the community. And obviously, there are some people in the Black community that are on, and Mike referenced Corinthian is light years ahead of somebody that just wants to get some money. Corinthian is more so thinking about the the community, and also he's thinking about generational wealth and having multiple streams of income that pass down to his children and his children's children, and hopefully nephews and nieces and everything alike. So when we think about this, one of the biggest proponents that I think that we as Black people are, I think we're selfish. I think we are, and we got to get out of that mindset that is not about us. Is about the bigger picture. Corinthian, what you about to say?
I would say this: we're no more selfish than anyone else. I think that's a human. That's our fallen
Human
nature.
trait. Okay.
That's our fallen nature. But I would say we're in such a deep deficit that we can't afford to be selfish.
Ooh.
That's what I would say. Now, our history, our legacy is selfless. What Harriet Tubman did was selfless. What Frederick Douglass was doing was selfless. The risk that Malcolm X and Martin Luther King was taking on their lives because people wanted to kill them for what they were saying, that was selfless. So that is we have a beautiful humanity. We have a selfless nature that now we off code. So now we're not.
We have adopted something that's not within us, and we're trying to reproduce what others do, other communities do, and that's not us. We have been a product of, we stuck together. When the slaves came over in them slave ships, they stuck together. When they came over to this they stuck together, and then it just carried us through. But at some point, we found, like, we started doing this crabs in the barrel. We started doing, I got to get mine. We had to be the first one to get the job because, the system pitted us against each other to where, I gotta be the first one there to get the job, or you're just gonna be out of luck. So the system has pitted us against each other when that's not in our normal nature.
See, Arthur, I'm gonna give this example. Okay. I read an account during slave times where it was illegal for more than 3 slaves to get together, for more than 3 to congregate. And it's a reason for doing that, because if 3 people got together They thinking of how we're gonna uprise, how we're gonna tear some stuff up, how we're gonna get up out of here. So think about that power. All you need is three back then, and they knew enough to say, we've seen three or more get together, and it's been some trouble. We have to
Wow.
get back to that. And that comes with, that's why you can't discount history. That's why
Wow.
all of our people need to be taught by us. And I'm saying because you lose that. The power is through unity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have to be willing to invest in one another. I was talking to somebody last week. I was interviewing somebody last week, and and she was saying how people. She started a dance studio, and she was saying how the community had really, really sold into her, into what
Wow.
she was doing, and she really didn't have any trouble. She really doesn't have any trouble as far as the community support. And I was like, that's a blessing in and of itself because we have become inherently suspicious of one another. So
Wow.
if I come to you with like, hey, Corinthians, I got an idea that can make this amount of money. You're gonna be looking like, Negro, please.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's our first thought. You know what I mean? And then, you know what I'm saying? You like whatever. I'm not doing that. So like we are inherently suspicious. So for a group of people to sow and get behind
Wow.
another black person has become a novelty. You know what I'm saying? And when that stops becoming a novelty, then we can get somewhere.
I love it. Oh wow. Hey, all great points. Mike, I want to thank you for tuning in and coming to kick it with us.
Absolutely.
And Corinthian for all your insight. We over time, but listen, we're gonna be bringing this back. We're gonna continue to talk about the black community and the black male because I want to see how people succeed. I want us portraying greatness in everything we do, not just on the ball field, not just on the court. I want us in the classroom, excellence. I want us in political arena, excellence. I want us in the media, excellence. I want the scenes that people see about us is all excellence. I don't want this stereotypical, this mantra that, black people are, causing trouble, black people are this and black people are that, they're lazy. No, that's not me. That's not anybody I know. I don't know those people. So I don't want that myth. I want to dispel that myth about us. And hopefully platforms like Kicking It with the Kellys and Let's Take a Walk can do that. Fellas, it's been an honor.
Yep. Thank you for having me on, man. I didn't mean to hijack your show, man.
Hey man,
No,
hey, Amy,
man,
you
we
welcome
love it.
anytime,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, man. Thanks for your wisdom and insight.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Corinthian, man. Hey, we going back at June 13th is going to be a special date. We're going to have a very important guest on there on the 13th. I think everybody's going to love it. We got a couple of more episodes before we wrap up season 1, guys. So I thank y'all for kicking it with us. Thanks again, guys. Hope you got my note and gift card. Yes, sir, Mr.
Yes.
Harrison. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And
Thank
you
you.
should be expecting something back too. So I appreciate you. I love talking to the Avid classes. We had a great time. Corinthian dropped some knowledge. Corinthian, I'm gonna hype you up everywhere I go, man.
Yeah, man. Oh, you ain't gotta do all that,
I'm
man.
gonna
You ain't
hype you up.
got. I just, I'm trying to get it where I fit in.
If you didn't learn anything else from what we talked about tonight, is you need to understand this cardinal rule, and I'm saying it. Corinthians said it. We gotta stop fighting amongst ourselves,
Yeah.
whether it be on the street, in the media, on Facebook, on Instagram. We gotta stop this. We gotta stop fighting amongst ourselves, physically, verbally, behavioral, everything. Yeah, it's tearing our community down.
Yeah.
And it is placing a stigma on our community that we don't want. So yeah.
Yep.
Quentin, we're gonna keep swinging, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Until next time.
Until next time. Hey, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, And we'll be back, hopefully again, the Lord willing, next Thursday. We'll try to be on time next time. All right,
All
bro.
right, bro.
All right, man.